A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Muhammad Abdul-Kareem, and this will be a continuation of reading of the book named Brainwashed by Tom Burrell. Let's see where we are now. We're still in chapter 2, Relationship Wrecks. And this section begins with no men allowed for the family welfare. Blacks in modern day urban areas have seen a world of changes that were not necessarily of their making. As industrial jobs began disappearing from cities, many black men found themselves back in positions of economic helplessness, without the kinds of jobs that allowed a man to support a family. To survive, many families turned to the government's welfare system for sustenance. In her commentary, Black Females Raising Black Males, Dr. Arlette Malvo described the ramifications of the welfare state on black families. Now, during welfare days, early 60s, when black families were able to get welfare, black females with dependent children were allotted welfare, but there were stipulations. No men could be in the house. The welfare agency monitors this situation, and agencies randomly search the female's house at any time or of day or night. Many black men left their homes so their families could survive. Many were put out of the home, and these families broke up because of money. This was the first destruction of the black family since slavery. Other external forces contribute to the dissolution of black families during the dawn of the welfare era. A few years later, black men began disappearing from their homes and communities in disproportionate numbers, drafted to fight the Vietnam War and returning home broken men. This was followed by a devastating crack epidemic with lopsided, discriminatory sentencing for minor crimes that led to further destruction and abandonment of black lives, families, and communities. Creating the badass boy and the love-starved girl. Our family crisis is inseparable from our black male and female identity crisis, and brainwashing has left a great many of us fearful, confused about our identities, and hopelessly caught in a cycle of relationship underachievement. Too many black men are still stuck in roles ultimately dictated by slavery. Some living up to the expectation that they are irresponsible, take pride in making babies knowing they can leave without stressing about the outcome of their actions. Black boys are not the only recipients of the psychological and physical trauma inflicted on their emasculated fathers. Vulnerable black daughters seeking love and validation from the first man in their lives are often left to fend for themselves, relying on their mothers or society to define black manhood for them. Like their mothers, the girls are saddled with feelings of disillusionment and disappointment in black men that often becomes a permanent fixture of their psyches. On the other end of the parental spectrum, many black women have been brainwashed to be active enablers of irresponsible men, supporting the unhealthy behavior of their mates, leading to future relations fraught with unnecessary drama. As the old saying goes, Black men have been brought up by mothers conditioned to raise their daughters and spoil their sons. For many black mothers without committed male partners, the son becomes the little man, whom the mother overindulges and neglects until he gets to an age where she can no longer handle him, rationalizing that he is indeed a man. She submissively allows the boy to come and go as he pleases. Poor young black women with little education pay the greatest toll. Many are tragically retro, stuck in a past where women had little control over their sexuality. Following in the footsteps of their female ancestors, they are brainwashed into believing that motherhood is the means by which they can validate themselves. Having babies with no resources is seen as a way out. These distressing patterns must be acknowledged and addressed if we even want an inkling of a chance to foster strong black families. When I was 12, I decided my goal in life was to get pregnant and move to the projects. I thought a baby would be someone that I could care for, someone who would love me and would never leave me. Leela. The sixth dynamic of black family destruction. Poverty remains one of the most treacherous barriers to the development of strong black families. It could easily qualify as the sixth dynamic of black family dysfunction. Critics will counter that other ethnic groups were subjected to forms of slavery and tyranny, and yet still managed to excel socially and maintain solid familial structures. But as Harvard University professor Orlando Patterson noted in Rituals of Blood, the consequences of slavery in 2 American centuries, the ghettoization and poverty of Irish American immigrants of the past century, Jews in European ghettos, Chinese refugees throughout Southeast Asia, and Latinos in the US today had not resulted in men's massive abandonment of their wives and children. Travel to poor countries that did not witness America's slavery holocaust, and yes, you will find people living in the kind of squalor that no longer exists in this nation. However, you are also likely to find family units that are more intact than those families that descended from the slave era. Without weighing African American generational poverty within the context of a society based on generational wealth and privilege, the observation of other non white family structures could, in fact, serve as proof that blacks are uniquely flawed. It's important to keep in mind, however, that Jews, Irish, Chinese, and Latinos who immigrated to this country came with their culture and familial norms intact and were not included in the devious 13th century plan to embed inferiority into an entire people's psyche. Secondly, we must take into account the generational black poverty rate. It swelled after emancipation and to this day hasn't significantly changed since the year Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. It's extremely difficult not having money in a society dictated by materialism. According to the University of Minnesota Institute on Domestic Violence in the African American Community, intimate partners Violence occurred occurs more frequently among black couples with low incomes, those in which the males is underemployed or unemployed, especially if he's not seeking work, and among couples residing in very poor neighborhoods. When considering that blacks are subtly and not so subtly reminded of their inferior status and lacking the resources to mount an effective counter-offensive, it's a sheer miracle that more of us haven't been driven clinically insane. A plan of action. For too many of us, deeply confused about what it takes to be whole men and women, remain trapped in behaviors that's detrimental to our personal relationships, our children, and society. The five dynamics fueling fractured black personal and family relationships have roots deeply embedded in slavery soil. Relationship wrecks connect the dots, contemporary manifestations, and historical roots. Disrespect, words of mutual contempt, ridicule, wide mistrust of mates, husbands, mothers, and fathers. Historical roots. Black family life, not conducive to a slave-based economy, was disrupted, disrespected, and destroyed. Black men and women were stripped of roles as parents and protectors. Society, through the welfare system, dismissed black fathers. Next bullet point on contemporary manifestations. The beatdown. Disproportionate rates of physical, verbal, spiritual, and psychological abuse in black relationships. Historical roots. Slaves and descendants were conditioned to accept physical and psychological abuse. Emulation of slave era dominant male norms continues today with the misplaced sense of manhood and reaction to powerlessness. Contemporary manifestations continued. Can't be true to my boo. The acceptance and expectation of infidelity. Historical roots. Results of male slaves, emasculation, and bearing witness to misogynistic humiliating sexual crimes against black women. Black men portrayed as unreliable and unable to protect. Black women portrayed as property of white males. Unquestioned belief in black male and female unworthiness. Contemporary manifestations continued. Icing, emotional shutdown and distance that fosters unhealthy relationships. Icing results in embracing anti intimate behavior, even in intimate relationships. Historical roots. Slaves learned to endure conditions outside their control. Protective mechanisms to provide family safety fractured during slavery. Generational acceptance of trauma and instability of black life. Contemporary manifestations continued. Mutual disenabling, irresponsible black men and overprotective black women perpetrate negative emotional trends with sons and daughters. Children continue cycles of unhealthy relationships. Historical roots. Parental norms broken during and after slavery. Undiagnosed and untreated feelings of inferiority and anger recycled. Generational feelings of betrayal, disappointment. Okay, as we continue. The mental shift needed to sever the historical roots that feed our self destructive contemporary mindsets and behaviors won't be easy. We are a race that has been conditioned to ice over its emotions, to dance, sing, and laugh our way past the blues. However, the first step in getting to that holistic, healthier place mandates that we start scrutinizing all the influences. Consider the following comedy routines addressing personal and family relationships ordered by the popular comedian Malik S. Malik S. and Steve Harvey. I hate my baby mama. I want to choke her and slap the shit out of her ass, but I can't afford no domestic violence case right now, you know? But I told her when I say 2500, I'm slapping the shit out of your ass, bitch. Like most of you women don't know, you $200 from getting your ass choked right now. Malik S. Def Comedy Jam, February 2020, February 24, 2008. I'm not condoning domestic violence in any way. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I'm not a lawyer. I think when they turn 18, you can put your hands on them a little harder than when they was a minor. I think if they're 18, it can just turn into full blown ass whooping. Check your local law. Find out what you can do. Can you choke her? Can you shake her? Find out how, by law, what it is you can do. How far can you put your foot up her behind before it becomes a felony? Steve Harvey, The Steve Harvey Radio Show, February 23rd, 2009. Funny stuff, right? Well, before you laugh, let's weigh the short term benefits, long term costs, and ultimate impact on the black psyche. Short term benefits: free speech expression. It's fun to be risky and edgy with material that makes somebody laugh. Emotional conversation, commerceration. The material elicits a yeah, I understand. I have a baby mama or a baby ass daughter at home too. Response. Short term relief helps us vent pent up anger and or other feelings. Commerce. The comedian makes money. May elicit a yeah, it might be harmful, but it's providing a job response. Long term cost. Endorses violence. The material condones, legitimizes domestic violence and child or spousal abuse. Trivializes black life. Material makes light of life threatening problems and gives a tactic green light to abuse. Prolongs the cycle of violence. Sends message that violence is the way to make someone learn or behave. Perpetuates stereotypes. Validates the myth of black as lawless and willing to skirt or break the law. Perpetuates the myth of the violent male, the myth of male dominance, and the myth of female inferiority. We do the white man's dirt, we do the oppressor's job. The antidote. We have analyzed the data, questioned and deconstructed the five relationship Rex dynamics, and noted the clear line correcting slavery's indoctrination with today's behavioral patterns. Now that we've separated fact from myth, it's possible for critical excuse me, it's possible for critical self-analysis to lead us to action. Remember, friends don't let friends stay brainwashed. Seek tactics ways to Seek tactful ways to call out your friends and loved ones if they seem to be positioned or poisoning the environment for healthy relationships. Vow to end the legitimization of physical or verbal abuse in the black family. Let everyone, by they family members or comedians, know verbally or with your wallet that you no longer tolerate any form of abuse. Relationship wrecks, positive propaganda cues. Here's a here's a of list positive propaganda tools designed to help us find antidotes to the BI campaigns poisonous effect on our relationships. BI stands for Black Inferiority. Do your homework. Invest quality time and attention to your relationship at home. Home is your base of strength and personal growth and the springboard for the rest of your success in life. Best way to do it is to duet. Most people live lives are enhanced and enriched by a healthy partnership. Having a loving relationship leads to a happier, healthier, more productive life. Staying power. Anybody can get up and leave at the slightest sign of problems within a relationship. The person that has the maturity to stick around and work it out winds up in a better place than the person who quits. Flip the script. With the proper perspective and commitment, we can flip the script and utilize the positives that have helped us survive the black inferiority trek. From root from roots to sounder, from Julia to rock, and from the Huxtables to the Obamas. Imagine of strong images of strong loving black families are not just in Hollywood. They are evident in the families that gave us Wynton and Branford Marsalis, Serena and Venus Williams, Craig and Michelle Robinson, now Mrs. Obama. If we can see black greatness in the White House, why can't we manage to see it in our own houses? How can we redefine our house without perpetuating the demeaning, outlandish, and negative perceptions attached to the black family? Once we really accept that we are not the way we've been projected for more than 400 years, everything changes. Sensitivity rises and clarity ensues. The possibility of implementing a new campaign becomes doable at an accelerated rate with positive propaganda techniques that undo the mass media's damage. It might seem quaint, but the power of one voice can grow into a movement. The fact that we are in the new media generation increases the possibility of victory. With mass media power just a computer click away, the Black church, civil rights, and community organizations and empowered blacks have the ability to produce and support messages and images that adhere to a new uplifting standard. Lamar and Ronnie Tyler didn't wait for another Cosby Show to mount a multimedia offensive against negative media portrayals of black families. In 2007, the couple who lived in Washington, D.C. with their 4 kids launched blackandmarriedwithkids.com. The site offers positive, professional, and informative articles, videos, stories, and links, all designed to strengthen black families and add balance to negative imagery. Since negative propaganda got us to this point, I maintain that positive propaganda will be the key to our resolution. Fortunately for us, there are many positive examples in the past and present that we can resurrect, emulate, and, if necessary, expand. The the reclamation call has already been repeatedly sounded. In 2008, hip hop artist Talib Kweli, professors William Jelani Cobb, and James Peterson, filmmakers Aaron Lloyd and Byron Hunt, playwright Sean Neblett, and other notable black men contributed poetry, prose, and pictures to the book B of Father to Your Child. Real talk from black men on family, love, and fatherhood. In this effort, black men attempted to break from a past of patriarchal masculinity to help future generations of black men be the dads they can be. Aisha Shahida Simmons, producer, writer, and director of No, the rape documentary, boldly confronts the scourge of racial, gender, and sexual oppression and its violent manifestations. Simmons, who understands the power of mass media, almost single handedly put together a film that utilizes individual testimonials, scholarship, spirituality, activism, and culture to bring the reality of rape and other forms of sexual and physical abuse to the forefront of public conversation. Ultimately, the change needed to halt the self-destructive behavior that results from our victimization must come from within. We cannot undo the past. What we can and must do is move forward with the realization that it is up to us to break the negative cycles. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.